at one. Today's guest, Dylan Fernandez, Head of Business Development, O'Brien Media. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing well, and how are yourself?
I am very good today. Very good, very good. We're a few weeks into the year, and I am firing on all cylinders, to be fair. Got lots of crazy stuff going on. All good.
Good.
But,
Not to be cliche, but 2022, we're going to make it the year.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the way things have started with e-commerce this year, it's looking exceptional, isn't it, for a lot of e-com stores and agencies, particularly. I think the demand for our sort of services, obviously we're in a similar niche, which we'll get to, obviously has gone through the roof. I was actually looking at Google Trends the other day, actually while we're there, and looking at the sort of search volumes for agency support and SEO agency, and it's just like boom, which is great for obviously our guys.
I would definitely agree with the pandemic. It's the year that we've learned the most, but it's also advanced the e-commerce industry the most as well, I believe. We've seen problems that we wouldn't have seen maybe without the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely kept us on our toes, hasn't it? So obviously you met our team a few months ago at a lovely event in London. I think bit of a hat tip to getting out there and networking, and obviously getting out there. I think even amongst all the madness and chaos of the pandemic and COVID restrictions and this, that, and the other, obviously our team and your team managed to go to a very lovely Christmas bash a few months ago, as it will be when we go live. And obviously met up with you guys, and then obviously we've been doing quite a lot of business since. So obviously great to get you on the podcast. Now I know when the guys met you, it was like, you've got to get Dylan on. So here we are.
Brilliant.
So I think let's get into it then. So how did you end up in the world of e-commerce?
So I won't list off the CV for you. So I'm quite a newbie with O'Brien Media. I'm not the newest no more. But yeah, I joined beginning of last year, so mid-pandemic. I've always been kind of interested in website development, SEO, and the kind of technological world, but never actually really done it as a full-time job. It's always been a side hustle with maybe a job that I've done in another sales capacity. So e-commerce is quite new to myself, but I'm an avid online shopper. I may be a businessman, but I'm also a consumer. So it was nice to kind of come into a role knowing what I know as a consumer and a little technical knowledge that I have, to actually come and do that as actually a full-time job. We became BigCommerce partners back in January. I started in April. So I've kind of grown with O'Brien Media with the e-commerce side, really going forward. So yeah, it's kind of something that's come into my plate, and I'm definitely enjoying it and looking forward to getting more involved.
Yeah, I mean, BigCommerce, bit of it. I think we shout out BigCommerce quite a lot on the different episodes, but obviously we met you at a BigCommerce event. So I think obviously we've got there's obviously an amazing team there. So I think it's they've got some amazing partners, and I think without their sort of really sort of pushing in the UK, as they are in obviously worldwide, really. It's a shame their shares aren't doing it as well as I'd hoped. But but fingers crossed, we'll all be good in a few months' time.
Yeah. Well, they're the main reson for us meeting. So we'll put a headset.
That's it. Maybe when this episode goes live, the BigCommerce shares, it's the start of the climb. I'm wondering if Jim will hear this. I'm sure he will. Okay, so obviously e-commerce, big chopper, but also now obviously on the front line for the last sort of circa year at O'Brien Media. So tell us a bit more about O'Brien Media. What do you do with for it on the e-commerce side of things?
So with e-commerce, so originally before I started, we predominantly were very much focused on small businesses. So we kind of were using WooCommerce, was kind of where we started, where the team kind of got their understanding of the e-commerce ability and where it came into web development, design, SEO, etc. As a whole, we market ourselves as a digital services agency. So if it involves the internet, then we can do it. Essentially, whether that is you need your e-commerce email marketing, SMS marketing, whether you need some SEO support, or whether it's a redesign or re-platform, then we're here to help. Now we predominantly build Woo and BigCommerce, but we support all others, Shopify, etc.
Brilliant. That's great to know. And I think obviously obviously most of our listeners are on probably one of those, maybe a couple of others like Magento, etc. But obviously BigCommerce, we've both got a lot of clients as we know on BigCommerce and the other sort of things. So let's have a dive into that for a second then. So obviously eCom stores, we've got various sizes of eCom stores listing in. We know that, and different challenges for different sort of where the different people are at the different stages of their growth. But what would you say are some of the biggest challenges e-commerce businesses face on the technical side with the website? Because I think, it's some, when you're starting out, which, I know a lot of our listeners aren't there, but they're starting out, and they maybe bought a template and they've installed X, Y, Z and they've figured it out, that then fast forward 5 years later, it's a whole different host of technical challenges. It's more probably understanding some basics right at the beginning. Now you're already doing, let's say 10 million quid a year, 5 million, 10 million quid, or $15 million, depending on the exchange rate. What are some of the technical elements that you see a lot of stores facing now when they're looking at scaling?
Oh, the experience currently really is to do with the ecosystem, technical, the back end of it all, really. Yeah. So where obviously we've had this wonderful explosion of open SaaS, as BC will say, or SaaS, whereas a lot, it used to be on-premise, where you had to have hosting. It was very expensive. It was this server, that server, and you only had maybe a small amount of other ecosystems, whether it was your POS system, your order management system, that could link into it. Now with the world of SaaS, there's hundreds out there for most kind of mainstream categories, and the issue that we're finding mostly is just making sure that these businesses are able to connect with whatever integrations they need to. A lot of businesses that kind of coming from the in-premise to now going to SaaS, that's the main reason why they're doing it, because their old integrations with, for example, their back office side of things with the CMS or OMS, they can get it cheaper now or a better service from somewhere else, but that service won't work for in-premise. They need something to go open SaaS. So it's really just making sure that whenever we're speaking to prospects or clients, when we're working with their growth, is making sure that we're on the same page and understanding what systems they want to use to make sure that whatever system that we give them technological support on, whether it's BigCommerce, Magento, Shopify, that they're going to have those integrations already there, or there are other agencies out there that are amazing and create integrations. I think that's really probably the main problem that we're maybe seeing at this time and day, where you've got that benefit now of open SaaS is so much more opportunity. It's now people that were maybe set up 10, 15 years ago, e-commerce, they're needing to now go, right, I need to get into the times to make sure that we can provide to our consumers.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's actually, we were having a little chat earlier before we came on, so just talking about our businesses and the sort of 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plans, that type of thing, and different models to plan out. And it's a similar thing, that you're talking about there, is ultimately, obviously, things may be working quite well, but the reality is you're, in the future, what is the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year? And think about that growth that maybe you've had this last year, which I would assume most of you listening in will be exceptional. There'll be some exceptions to that, but definitely we step back the next sort of last 2 years, there's going to be elements there with some huge growth, I think, from 90% of the listeners. So, okay, what does the next year, 3 year, 5 years look like? And will your tech stack, will your platform, will your integrations, sit side by side with tripling your business? Well, actually, no, maybe not, because the system you've got won't integrate with X, or it's it's going to rely on Johnny who works at XYZ. But what if Johnny doesn't work there anymore, because it's a custom build or whatever it may be. So it's, I think it's very much sort of, a lot of, obviously, the platforms now, a lot of these integrations are there, they exist. So the costs are obviously not, to have to custom build something, it can be very excessive, but also it's got a single point of failure potentially if it's an individual or a small team of 1 or 2 people. Whereas if you're building off already existing, multi-million, if not multi-billion pound systems like BigCommerce or whatever it may be that integrate with the various warehousing systems, or you've got a lot more safety nets. I think, just stepping back and looking at that 3-year, 5-year, maybe getting some help with that from a business coach, from obviously the guys at O'Brien Media, thinking about that sort of 3-year, 5-year plan. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. So I think while we're there, I think we've got a bit of a theme for this episode. So navigation, yes. I think, navigation, we spend a lot of time looking at navigation from an SEO perspective, but, what would you say? Does navigation really impact conversion rate? And how can a business improve it? So it's like a 2-pronged question, this one.
I'd certainly say it's definitely one of the key things a lot of retailers and e-commerce businesses are looking at. The expansion of kind of heat map software systems that are out there now essentially is a big part of marketing. Where are your prospect customers going on your website? How are they navigating through that? I literally did a blog not long ago, actually, just kind of looking at the trends for this year with website design, etc. And one of the main ones that were popping up, and I think that I find myself as a consumer, is the kind of modern minimalization. Clear, precise. We're in this mobile first kind of world. We look at on the internet on our mobile.
Absolutely.
For a desktop.
Yeah.
So if your mobile website is looking clear, precise, easy to use, they're more likely to go onto your desktop. Because I know some businesses now, they won't have their full selection on a mobile version of their website, whereas they might do on a full, or it's potentially another way of getting someone onto your desktop.
Yeah.
So I definitely say it's aesthetically pleasing, and that's what us as human beings like. We like to see things that look pretty but clear and easy, especially when you're trying to reach a wide range of customers. If we're looking at the kind of older generation, they might be a bit skeptical of getting online because it's all a bit mad and crazy for them. But if you can get out there and show that it's not that hard, we can make it easy for you by still putting your brand out there and creating an easy, seamless process, then you're heading for a winner.
Yeah. So a clear navigation, clear look and feel.
Yeah.
So if somebody sat here now, they're thinking, okay, thanks for that, Dylan. Now, okay, I want to go and have a look at my website, and look at that navigation specifically. They're selling, I don't know, something I'm looking at the moment is watches, as an example. Okay. Or something to do with watches is actually we're going to be setting up. In fact, this is an exclusive. Our agency will be setting up an e-com store. It's what we used to do before we set the agency up. We did that for 10 years, but we're going to be setting up our own store. And it's going to be watch related. And obviously, there might be people listening in that are selling watches already and accessories and things like that. But if they were, I'm a big watch fan. I'm a bit, probably won't flash watches on the episode, but I'm a big watch fan. Big time. Too much, unfortunately. Yeah. And you look, the listeners are going to go to their sites now. Let's say maybe one of the listeners has got a watch store. What sort of things should they be looking at? Right now, if they're going to pause this episode, they're going to go and look at the navigation. What would be some telltale signs maybe to think, what, that needs improving? Or, you talked about mobile. Maybe they should look at the navigation on mobile to see if it actually works properly, as opposed to, truncating maybe, or not truncating, but going round onto another line. Or what sort of things do you think they should be checking and looking at right now?
I think really the term I'm about to use is something that I had from my school generation, and it's before we had show and tell, usually on a Friday. Yeah. Now I think that's what somewhat us consumers want these days. We don't want to read. We don't want you to tell us about it. We want to see it. So the likes of video and proper nice stock imagery, actually showing the finer details of things, such as, some e-commerce stores, they don't have an in-store presence, and there are some consumers out there that want to actually see the product as much as they can without actually touching the product. And I think if we can, have that kind of minimalist, seamless view and design, but having that very detailed photography or videography of an image,
Yep.
sorry, of a product, I think those two will work really well
Yeah.
together, and I think that's kind of something that is going to
Yeah.
kind of hit in the e-commerce world quite heavily, because we watch more videos than we read text these days.
Yeah.
Because the attention span of us as consumers are lower.
Yeah.
So we need to be eye capturing.
It's the timing on that is ridiculous, because I've literally an hour ago spoke to somebody that's looking to work with our agency, and they sell electric bikes. An electric bike is not a 50 quid product. Their average order value is sort of circa 2,000 from memory. I think it was 1,800, 2,000. So it's a big product. So obviously getting conversion rates dialed in, is absolutely key. One sale for them, is multiple hundreds of pounds profit. But their images, their image, their when you went to scale and zoom in, their images were amazing. So they've got the amazing images, but the way they've set up the website, the actual product pages were showing very pixelated images. So as somebody that's looking to buy, I'm not looking to buy an electric bike, but if I was, my kids I'd never hear the end of it. I'd be like, loser. Yeah. Obviously electric bikes are great, but I just think I was being lazy, which would be correct, I think. But you're looking at the quality just on a £2,000 product, and it's all pixelated. It's just such a shame. So obviously he's going to fix that, and we're going to do some other work with him on PPC and whatnot. But I think, that sort of show and tell, I like that analogy. That's great. Yeah. Do we like the look,
I think
feel?
the pixelization as well, when you're paying that amount of money for that kind of product. Now, with a lot of the advance of technology, there's been a lot more advancements in spam, etc. So if you're selling a really high-end product, but your marketing isn't to that standard, your consumer's going to think more, do I buy this?
Exactly.
Am I getting... and I think people need to actually start thinking outside the box and putting out there as well, okay, the product's great, but you need to make sure you're promoting the product in the light that it needs to be promoted in.
Okay. So any other strategies, tips you would give on improving conversion rates?
Oh, where do I start? So definitely it's going to be the quick web page loading. Goes back to our span, our attention span. Sorry, get my words out of my mouth. There's been quite a few kind of tests done. I was reading one on Cloudflare the other day. It's something like 47% of web users will click off a web page if it doesn't load in 2 seconds. And that's the first step of someone getting onto your website, is the page loading. So if your page is taking 6 seconds to load, you're going to be losing. I think it's something like your conversion rate was going down to like 0.6, but pages that were loading between 1.8, 2.5, you were getting a 1.9 average. So I'd say that's probably one of the most key. So making sure you got a very fast CDN, your hosting service is, at the best it can be. At the moment as well, with us being more of a lazy generation, making a seamless, quick, easy checkout process. Not this page, that page, or even to the point of, I put the wrong details, or I accidentally pressed the right-hand side of my mouse and I've gone back. Making sure that it kind of, you're saving that information, so when they go back, they haven't got to fill it all out and go, I can't bother that.
It's gone. It's not cached it, or it's not held it.
Exactly. Social proof, the world with omni-channel at the moment now, and eBay, Instagram, etc., is making sure that you're getting that real life product reviews. If you're using influencers, get a link on that product page with the story that influencer put up about it. Get some links there to show that our product is real, it's out there, people are enjoying it, they're liking
it's encouraging that, isn't it? Because obviously people are buying your product, listeners, they're buying your product, but what are you doing after that purchase to encourage them to do you a video review? And I guess most of you are going, crap, probably not a great deal. So if you're doing those thousands of orders a week, month, whatever it may be, that's social proof, as Dylan said. It is huge in all aspects, obviously, to help conversions, to help SEO if it's content-based, unique content's getting created, whether that's unique videos, unique text, which is, SEO juice high octane juice sort of thing, fresh content. But, a lot of some of the review platforms will automatically do that. You obviously, a lot of you guys that are using, say, reviews.io, it'll go out there and it'll ask them to do a video review, and then you can also, there's different functionality there where you can sort of search your past the people that have bought from you in the past, and see sort of like almost like an influencer score to see, oh, blimey, I didn't realize we had, I'm trying to think of somebody famous that bought off me. Blimey, Conor McGregor bought off the website. Imagine if he said, hey, I just bought this XYZ, reach out to him. And a lot of these platforms do that. Obviously, different platforms do different things. But I think, yeah, that's great. Sorry that I interrupted you there. 3 cracking
No, that's
ones.
actually fine. I've got 2 little other ones that I think that are maybe from a e-commerce business owner who aren't maybe the most technical, knowledgeable. It's the first is Popups. There's a lot of advancements in Popups. From cookies, etc. We all see that now at the bottom of a web page, cookies, etc. Yes, they can be annoying, but it can also help you in the future as a consumer. You've looked at this product, you go to another consumer's, another retailer's website. They've known that you've seen this product. They're going to show you now with a pop-up their equivalent to that product, which may be exactly what you're looking for. The last one, finally, a little bit more out there, maybe a little bit more quirky. I like quirky. DHgate, AliExpress, these 2 big wholesale sites, e-commerce sites that are out there at the moment. I think they're probably one of the first to really do it. Now, we can all provide coupons in an email marketing, etc. Not everyone opens their emails. Now, something that they've done is this like gaming kind of aspect. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Like a gamification.
And it's nostalgic, right? For both of us, I gamed. I'm sure you gamed, and it's just something different to it. Am I a massive fan of some of the AliExpress and DHgate, what they're doing? I like the idea. I'll go with that. I'm waiting for some retailer to come out there and make the real name for that.
I like that.
I think that's a way to go forward.
That's maybe a whole episode there in a few months' time. Yeah. So some cracking ones there. Obviously, site speed, a huge one in e-commerce. And obviously a lot of platforms now, are really on this. They're really on this as their sort of USP. So it's becoming a lot better, with a lot of the platforms. But it's a huge one for all different reasons. Obviously, their attention span. People can't be bothered. They just can't be bothered to wait. They want it now. They want things to load. They want to be able to check out quick. Checkout obviously goes without saying. If you can't check out very, very quickly, and there's not, say, multiple payment options in there, I know we're probably from a slightly different generation. I'm a little bit older than you, I would say, but ultimately, different people, definitely generational wise. My son, he only pays with his phone. I didn't pay with my phone. I have never paid with my phone. He only pays with his phone. He has a bit of cash, he has a card, he has the, this, that, and the other, but he pretty much always pays with his phone, when he's out and about. But online, obviously, you've got the PayPal, you've got the credit card. They're the sort of the 2, traditional, I would say, almost old school, but obviously that you need them, you've got to have them. But obviously, there's a lot of other options, isn't there, with Apple Pay, etc., Split Pay.
Exactly, and then we go into Klarna, the later pay.
I
know one of the newer income kind of payment gateways out there, and provide Molly, brilliant, providing many payment platforms to have.
I think if you scroll back and you're with us still, about 9 episodes back. We had the head of the UK, Molly, on. So there's a cracking episode there on conversion rate optimization, specifically around checkout. But yes, brilliant. Okay. So obviously social proof, we touched on that as well. So yeah, some cracking ones there. What you might want to do is to pause the episode right now and just rewind maybe 5 minutes there, because there's some cracking things there that I think are quite implementable. And you think, do you know what? Our site speed is still, this is probably the 5th time I've heard about it, but what have you done about it? Site speed is one of those things that we maybe run our website through GT metrics or Google speed test and go, it's still a C. I told John in dev to sort it, but it's not happened. Reach out to the guys at O'Brien or, your developers, etc., and get it sorted out. The difference is ridiculous in conversion rate for, if you're doing big numbers, commercially spending what might be, obviously it depends, $1,000, £1,000 to sort out your site speed, and then divide the next 12 months increase. Just forget it, get on with it, get it sorted out. Right. So I think the next topic is, it can put a lot of our listeners into a bit of a cold sweat, into a bit of a, they get a bit excited. They get a bit, stressed, I think, when we talk about the word re-platform. Yeah. It's a big topic, isn't it? And it's
brain fried.
It's like, oh God, no. Yeah. Re-platform. We get a call. Can you help us with the re-platform? No, but we know somebody that can. Yeah, we know somebody that can, and we know, obviously, we get involved with a lot of re-platform. We've usually got sort of 3 or 4 on the go in terms of the SEO element, not the actual. We don't develop, in-house at all, as you know. But what we do is very much, the transition from one platform to another with the SEO side of things. But what would you say? How can a company sort of mitigate potential risk of re-platform? Because I think that's what's, that's probably the hot topic. They've got a site doing whatever it may be, 10 million, £1 million a month, $1 million a month, or 1.5, and they're going to move from one platform to another, and naturally they're going to have some concerns. What would you say to them?
So I think this is where the way when we take a client on, or we're talking to a prospect, is we're not just an agency, we're your business partners. We're here to help you build for growth. So it's going back to maybe about 10 minutes ago in our conversation, was saying understanding the business growth and understanding their business plan, so that when we come to recommending what platform they need to go on to, whether it's their first time and they making it easy for them for the rest of their career and their business lifespan, that they stay on this one platform for as long as possible, or whether it is the fact that a company now knows they need to re-platform because the times have changed, etc. Kind of just eliminating how many times they're going to have to re-platform. If you have to re-platform, you only really want to do it once, right?
Yeah.
Probably agree with me there. So it's just really understanding and listening, and the communication from our end to our clients, to the retailers, the merchants, and just understanding, right, let's understand your business. Let's understand where you want to go. This is one reason why we became a BigCommerce partner, is that they are built for growth. Whether you are, a 5-product merchant to a tens of thousand products merchant, is actually putting platforms out there that will meet that merchant's need for the longevity, so that they're not coming back to us and going in 5 years, "Hi Dylan, we've just brought another business and we want to put all those products onto our e-commerce site. Don't know if it's going to do it. Do we need to re-platform?" They're going to dread asking that, and obviously we don't want that. So we want to be able to make sure that they're having a platform that we're going to promote to them and suggest to them to use, that is going to fulfill any of their somewhat in the box future goals.
Yeah, and I think that it goes back to that sort of 3-year, 5-year sort of thinking, doesn't it? Because you don't want to do it twice, like you say. Obviously it's potentially, depending on the size of the business, could be $100,000 job, or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
So doing it, once every 3 years, it's not an ideal.
And it can be quite a soul-destroying experience, I suppose. And there's merchants out there that, the launch date's happened and then the site's just... and that's very brand destroying. It's not just, the website don't work. It's a lot more to that. So that no wonder, people are quite dubious of when it comes to platforming, and that's what we want to do. I'm actually half deaf, and it's quite ironic, but I like to really focus on listening when it comes to clients, really understanding their needs, so that as a partner to them, we can say, we believe this is going to be the next platform, and hopefully the only platform.
I think that's a good note, because I think also, obviously, listening to agencies, but I think also probably as the e-commerce store owner, getting yourself out of there in the environment with people that are doing what you want to aspire to be, and do. So if you're doing the 5 million, just as a number in the air, but you want to get to the 20 million. So who are the 20 million guys? Surround yourself with those people, And obviously there's different quotes out there, but you sort of become the average of the 5 people you spend the time with. But
Yeah,
that's a slightly different angle. But ultimately, if there are industry events that you can go to and have conversations with the guy that runs the marketing with the 20 million pound, or the guy that owns the 20 million pound agency, or as we know, there's various in e-commerce. There's the IRX was on 4 months ago, which we were at. We spoke at. We've got various the IRX is on again in Birmingham in the UK. We'll be there. We've got a couple of talks that I'm doing and the SEO team are doing on obviously PPC and SEO. But ultimately, there will be thousands of merchants at those events, and there's very specific tracks, very specific talks, and there's a coffee lounge. Get your big boy shoes on and get out there and have a little chat with people that are doing what you want to do. And I think that's the same for agencies as well. That's how we've sort of met. We've gone to an agency event, and good things happen from getting out there. And I think somebody's already doing what you want to do, and maybe they went with BigCommerce 3 years ago. How did that go? Well, it went really well, but we didn't do this, and we should have done that, and we could have. Oh, hello. So there you've already. Oh, do you know, we want to make sure that we can do international, this, that, and the other, and we need to think about that, and then speak to obviously different product sets will have different challenges, whether that's big issues with delivery, maybe internationally, or warehousing, or integration with accounting systems. I think having that chat with people that are doing what you want to do, not just the agency side as well.
I want to chuck in another cliche quote there. Knowledge is power. And I think that's just going on to what you were saying. Yeah, get talking to, yes, everyone's competitors, other merchants can be competitors, but if we all help each other, we can all succeed together. Get out there, get to these expos, get that business handshake. Yeah. I'm so glad that we've got back to that point, and hopefully we don't not get back to that point.
And another scoop for this episode. I think getting out there and speak and having good relationships with your competitors and people in your niche is so important. And we're actually launching a second podcast. Nobody out of the business knows this. So when this episode is aired and you listen to this for the first time, we're launching in a few months' time an agency-specific podcast about agency growth. And clearly we're an agency. We have 2 agencies behind this podcast, and we make our money, from services and looking after e-commerce stores and businesses. Do I want to be discussing with our competitors? Yeah, I do. Because I tell you what, great stuff, and some of my best friends own agencies. My best friends that I spend time with own agencies. Do we do some of the same stuff? A little bit, but there's crossovers, this, that, and the other. Am I good pals with people that do PPC? Absolutely. Am I good pals with people that do SEO? Absolutely. So I think, if you're sitting there in whatever niche you're in and trying to guard everything, it's not the way forward. I don't think. Well, it's not.
I totally agree with you there, and I'll definitely put a round of applause for that, because I totally agree.
Brilliant. So we'll get you back on the podcast, e-commerce growth podcast. I'm not going to drop the name of it just yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, keep that secret. Keep them on their toes. Can't always put all your secrets out there.
That's it. There's been a few ones today. Okay, so obviously, replatforming. It's most store owners, marketing teams go through that process as their businesses evolve. So it's one to I think have some good discussions with agencies, like-minded businesses. So brilliant. So what would you say? Obviously, you've worked on a lot of websites. Obviously, you bought a lot of things. I think you would say from a lot of, What would you say? What are some of the worst websites in the world, and why?
So kind of a bit off e-commerce, but they are kind of e-commerce.
Yeah.
The worst one for me, and I'm not a massive UK website, Craigslist.
Oh yeah.
They still have that 1996 look.
They do.
Yeah, hats off to them. They're still quite big in the US.
Yeah.
If Gumtree were doing what Craigslist did, I think they would be out of business by now in the UK for sure.
Yeah.
I just have a headache. If I had to go onto a site like that, I'd be straight off. It doesn't matter if their site was loading in 1 second. I'm gone. It comes back to that minimalist aesthetic, nice looking pretty, is what we need these days. Obviously, it does go back to the 90s when first e-commerce sites were coming out there, with eBay, etc. That dial-up tone, etc. That's what it reminds me of, that nostalgia.
Yeah, yeah. A bit like or booking your holiday on teletext, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that they're still out there, I haven't looked massively into it, mainly because I think they're one of the worst websites out there.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been on it, if I'm honest. I've been on
No,
Gumtree, yes. I think if
no,
I can't find it on eBay, I usually go to Gumtree. But I don't think
yeah,
I've actually ever bought anything from Gumtree.
no.
But Craigslist, okay, Craigslist then. Okay, now we're coming to nearly to the final furlong of the podcast. It's been fantastic to have you on. But my little researcher tells me that you're into manifestation.
Yes, law of attraction.
I'm
Yeah.
really intrigued, to be fair. How this has really impacted your life, and then sort of practically, how does that sort of how's that helped you?
Oh yeah, so massively. So from a personal aspect to professionally, yes. So going back when I was younger, I had meningitis, hence why I'm half deaf. So it was always I had to jump over barriers. I had to think positive. Now,
Yeah,
for me, the law of attraction. Maybe when I was younger, I didn't realize it as much, but it's one of the most powerful kind of laws. There, we all have this kind of vibration and energy about us. Good vibes, bad vibes, and good. When you have good vibes, you attract good vibes, and it's as simple as that. I coined the term "think good, feel good, do good, get good." And I think if you can be like that, I mean, there's always a positive to a negative, there's always a negative to a positive, and guess what? Life isn't always up there. It is a roller coaster,
yeah,
but it's having that mentality to keep pushing forward, forever dreaming, and just aspiring to do the best. If you had one day to left of your life, just knowing that you tried your best is kind of the aspect to it. Just going out there, meeting people when it comes to networking. Feel the fear, do it anyway. If you're a bit shy, go and speak to that person that you want to go speak to, because they might have that kind of idea that they might tell you that leads you on to your next best idea. So get out there, forever dream, and just be positive. It's got me to meet some amazing people throughout my whole career, whether it's been from a sales kind of aspect or kind of other kind of roles that I've done. And personally, I've met some great people, and I've got quite a bit of stories to tell, and I love telling stories. And I think everyone wants to. So I'm always here to help with anyone if they ever want to pop up on a a LinkedIn message or something to say, Dylan, tell me a bit how you did it. How did you put yourself through that, especially with what's gone on with the pandemic. Always happy to help, whether it's on a personal level or a business level. Pop by, and on my page on LinkedIn is still the motivator. Just to offer that support.
Well, it's funny because I know when the guys met you, we met, as I said at the beginning, our sort of team, we met, you guys met. I wasn't there in the first instance, and they came back, and we met this guy called Dylan. Oh my God, talk about energy, and that was literally, I was like, oh wow, and then obviously we've spoken quite a few times since then. It's a few months ago now, and I'm a massive believer that energy. It's all about the energy. There's a few things, but energy. That energy that you put out is that energy that you attract. And I think the difference you can make when you walk in a room, or you're working with people, or you're talking to people, if your energy. And of course, that doesn't mean every day and every hour your energy's bang on. We all have those days, 100%. Me more than most, I would imagine, and all of us. But working on that craft of positivity, I'm with you. 100% there. Yeah, especially in the
I feel like I need that 100 emoji. Just to,
I'll have to get the guys to mock something up on this.
Yeah.
Sarah, if you're listening, Sarah does the edit. So Sarah, it's your turn, your time. Go.
Here.
Yeah, Sarah, go. Right. Okay. So, O'Brien Media, what's the future look like for O'Brien Media?
Definitely going to be doing more work with our partners such as you. I'm really focusing on going back to our conversation a minute ago of working with some of our competitors, such as yourself. We both do SEO, but utilizing each other to be the best that we can be, and reach that ultimate goal of getting all the e-commerce sites out there reaching their top potential. And really a lot of expansion internally. We like to coin ourselves a little bit different to other agencies out there. We're very big. We're a disability competent leader, which is the highest kind of accreditation you can have when it comes to disability. So we're going to be launching a work experience program. We've got our first one with us in the end of the month, I believe, who likes autism. So a lot of development internally, but doing the best that we can do for the industry, not just directly but indirectly. And making sure that we can keep this industry booming, keeping people skilled, who may potentially don't have that confidence to do that because of a disability, or they don't have that that degree. That's kind of our two main big focuses for this year. Is the partnerships, working on our partnerships, making sure that we can reach this ultimate goal, and secondly, the internal development of our team and our business.
That's amazing.
People.
That's amazing. Well, I look forward to finding out. We'll have to get you back on in 12 months' time. And I'll be really interested. I really like to talk about the sort of development and team development and growth, and team growth and personal development. So we'll maybe do a slightly different episode a bit further down the line. But well, thank you for being a guest on the show. It's been an absolute brilliant episode. I like to finish every episode with a book recommendation. So do you have a book that you would recommend, Dylan?
I have two. The first one will be .com Secrets.
Yes.
By Russell Brunson, I believe. Definitely a good little read. And I've done a little bit of research myself. And I believe the other book recommendation, we might have the same book. Oh. It's The Lean Startup.
It's right on the shelf there. I actually grabbed it just before.
Brilliant. Definitely.
And what you probably didn't realize was you said .com Secrets, and there is Traffic Secrets.
Love it.
And
brilliant.
And there is the rest of them.
I might have to borrow them from you some point.
Yeah, I went out to the I've been out a few times to the US to the ClickFunnels event.
Brilliant.
Event. Yeah. So, well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. For the guys that are listening in that want to find out more about you and be able to connect with you directly, what's the best way to do that?
So it's o'brienmedia.co.uk. Meet the team, and you can contact me through that with all my socials and contact details, or just give me a search on LinkedIn. It's Dylan Fernandez, which I'm sure you'll have the spelling of somewhere.
We will.
Or Dill the Motivator. Pardon?
It'll be right on the episode.
Brilliant.
Top and bottom.
I'm happy to speak to anyone. I've always got time. And I've really enjoyed this experience, and I look forward to speaking to you more, hopefully with some podcasts in the future, and more in a professional matter with some projects that will come on board shortly.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.